MPTV episode 4,375. Okay, I made that up, but we are back. We are in the studio. I got my main man, Luis, certified legit, Rivera. Luis.
What's up?
What's up?
Life, man. Just living. It's a great fucking day. Let's go.
Great day. So, let's talk about something. This is your second time on the podcast.
Yep.
And the whole concept of MPTV is entrepreneur, it's restaurant, it's ideas. And I wanted to have you on because I watched an episode of America's Best Restaurants in the hot tub this morning. So I don't know if I get you freaked out that I was in my swim trunks chilling. I didn't send anybody any random pictures this time.
Right.
Just don't do that. If you send somebody a video from the hot tub and you're talking to them, it might look like you're in the bathtub, might be a little weird. Found that out. Long story. But watching you on ABR, on the tube, and you were at Ernie's. Mm-hmm. Is it Ernie's Steakhouse?
Ernie's Cafe and Steakhouse, yeah.
And that's in Missouri, Columbia?
Columbia, Missouri, yeah.
Okay. And what got my attention I want to talk to you about was I was reflecting on that episode comparing to last year when we were doing episodes. Mm-hmm. So the vision behind America's Best Restaurants, for y'all out there, just to put some context in this, is I've thought about 4, 5, 6 years ago, what if we not only owned the traffic that we were leveraging to help restaurants, like 2 days ago, what's the restaurant 2 days ago that's got like 900 comments?
Lake Inn in Lapeer, Michigan.
Lake Inn. We filmed there as well.
Yep.
Were you the host?
Yes.
He hosted that episode. It's on their Facebook page, Lake Inn, Lapeer, Michigan. They also became a client of ours. We're taking them down the journey of creating a multi-pronged marketing strategy that will help do some badass stuff. Mm-hmm. But their Facebook post went live 2 days ago, and last time I looked this morning, it was like 950 comments and like 800 people in a database, and like 20 already walked in the door the first day.
Yeah.
So it's going bonkers.
Yes.
Well, we've always been forced to leverage other mediums to build an audience for our clients. Mm-hmm. And I had this vision about what if we owned Yelp? Because there's some opportunities that Yelp has from a standpoint of getting eyeballs and fingers and all that good stuff, people clicking.
Right.
What if we had that traffic and we could leverage it for good, for the good of the independent restaurant? Mm-hmm. And then the other part of me is I would travel, and one of the ones that hit me big time was I was in Orange, California. I was with Joseph Mahone at Burger Parlor, which is now called Jack's Chicken. And Joseph and I did a little interview, and his story was bonkers. Like, I don't know if he still has them. Joseph, you're watching this because he watched it and listened to a lot of my stuff. I don't know if you still have the Captain Crunch milkshakes at this place, but
that's awesome.
Captain Crunch milkshakes was off the, what is that word I'm looking for? Off the hook. Got one brain fart there. But we did a video, and the stuff he dropped in the video was cool. And his customers don't know this. And so take all of that together, and one of the biggest visions for me with America's Best Restaurants is that in 5 years from now, 2022 now, by 2027, we'll be a household name.
Yep.
Consumers will know to go to americasbestrestaurants.com to find badass restaurants like yours, not the chains, not the Wendy's, not the Raising Cane's, the badass local independents that pay the bills in our community. Mm-hmm. But one of the big things for me was also we got to have their story on there. And so, long story short, I'm watching the episode this morning, and I reflected on last year that last year we would visit 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 restaurants in a day.
Yeah.
We'd get in there, we'd have a quick conversation, we'd prep a little, we'd create some pretty cool content, we'd get their story, and then we'd leave. And a lot of it revolved around the food and little tidbits about how they got started. What you did on this episode with Ernie's, you knew before you walked in that restaurant, you knew, because you probably talked to him for a little bit, but you knew information that allowed you to create unique conversations in that episode that, to me, is what makes people want to go back. So talk about, I guess, first, what you found out and why you tied those stories in, because what made it catch your attention versus the food.
So for me, this is kind of like a little secret, but I'll still kind of say it here.
So it's not a secret anymore.
Well, it's not a secret anymore. So when I go on the road and I'm going to host an episode at a restaurant, I never look at the website. I never look at the menu, ever. The reason is because I want to be surprised. I want you to show me what you want to show me.
Okay.
And nobody can talk about your restaurant better than you.
You know,
Right?
I never met Christy before we got married.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. That's a lie.
So that was one thing, because I want to see it kind of like through the eyes of a child. When kids are young, I remember I was in the plane going to New York before Labor Day weekend for Winkfest, right? So I get on the plane, and there is this gentleman with these two kids, and the two kids, I was on a 1x2, meaning there's one seat on one side and then two on the other side. So I was on a 1x2 plane, and the kids are sitting in the row behind me on the other side, and everything to them was fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They get the little wings.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything to them is fascinating, like how the seat belts work, how the little TV works. So I try to channel that when I walk into a restaurant. I want to see it through the eyes of a child, because everything is fascinating to them. To us, we take it for granted. But when you see it through the eyes of a child, everything is new. Everything's amazing. It's like, oh my God, how does that work? So when I walk into a restaurant, I walk in like that. And I also try to find what is one string that I can pull, and then weave a conversation out of that string.
Okay.
Okay. So at Ernie's, there were a couple of things. The cool neon sign that says Ernie's.
Yep.
That was a focal point. The artwork of Dick Tracy that was done by Chester Gould. That was super cool. And then I also noticed the big painting of Jerry Garcia. And I'm like, okay, I got to understand all these elements.
Why do they exist? Why are they here?
Exactly. Because those elements are part of the story of not only the restaurant, but also the owner. He might not be the original owner, but he has a connection with those items. Right. And at the end of the day, look, nobody does business with a business. People do business with the people they know, like, and trust, who just so happen to either own a business or work in a business. Think about all the restaurants you go to on a weekly basis, especially the mom and pops.
Yep.
That is the truth. And especially if you're a creature of habit, which most of us are, you want to go and seat at the section that, for example, Matt is going to serve, because Matt knows my name. Matt knows exactly what I order. Matt knows the name of my family. So when I walked into Ernie's, I felt that.
Okay.
And it was literally just looking at it through the eyes of a child, and I have to understand, why is all this here? And how does this all connect not only with the owner, but how does the owner disseminate that to the community?
Yeah. And one thing on accident, one of the best decisions we made was by running really fast last summer.
Yeah.
So to put some context, and this is kind of a funny story, we started doing the van and road shows, and we tested in April or May and June, and then we went full force in July. And we were doing, I believe, every 3 hours. I think we had
we had a lull in the middle.
Yeah, we had a lull in the middle.
Yeah.
I want you to picture this. We got the Mercedes van. We got the back's like a limo. And we would go in and we would shoot. And then we'd always have because we would try and put these restaurants 5 or 10 minutes away from each other, because we're in like Charlotte and we don't want to be on north and west. We want to be right near each other. Go north to south, I guess you could say. And so we'd be like 5 restaurants up north, and we'd have a 9, a noon, a 3,
right,
a 6, and a 9 o'clock at night. And we would inevitably end up in a gas station parking lot in the van, knocked out. All back there snoring and freaking drool, and then we'd wake up and go to the next place.
Right.
So one day, I want to say it was me and Schlatter. I don't know what happened, but we scheduled 10 shoots in one day. 8 a.m. to like 10 p.m., I want to say it was. We did 10 shoots, and we never got tired. And so, of course, me, being I'm a marketing guy, I'm a capitalist, I want to see things happen.
Right.
Like, screw it, 10 visits a day.
Yeah.
So we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Well, what happened by doing those 10 visits a day is it sped up our ability to find failure quicker. And we have found a lot of failure the past 18 months.
Yeah.
We're approaching $2 million, which is still hard for me to say out loud sometimes, but $2 million that we have spent, that we have invested to grow this brand. And it comes with a lot of advantages, because had we did 1 or 2 episodes a day for 6 months, we might not have found these things.
Right.
And what we have found is a better way to produce what we are, which is a micro TV show built for the phone, built for the independent restaurant owner. And what I think happens a lot is owners take for granted their story or some of the context to it. Like I related, what was his name from Ernie's?
Tom.
It wasn't Bert?
No.
Okay. So I related with Tom because one thing he said, which I always catch myself saying, is I say, my girlfriend in college, my wife now, Christy. And he said that.
Right.
And so that stuck out to me. and he was talking about the Sam. What was her first name?
Is Christine.
Christine. That's what I thought. I was going to say it was Christine because I even feel like I got more. Yeah. But the Christine sandwich and the sandwich that's on the menu. But knowing that context to me is a difference maker. And so there's a couple things to unpack here. Number one, how the show grew. How a year ago we didn't have the time when you're shooting 8 to 10 restaurants at 12 to 14 hours.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a whole lot of time to go, hey, what's up with that picture? Okay, cool. Let's talk now.
Yeah.
And we've leveled up the production, the quality of the equipment. Yeah. The camera teams are, Austin and Ryan are awesome. You and Greg are killing it. David and his team on the back end are doing great stuff. And the editors, Veron, our international team, are doing great. So everybody's crushing it. But one of the big things that stuck out to me was that you mentioned a minute ago. You said we all have our restaurants we go to. And I'm not going to lie, I eat at probably half independents a week and half chains. I eat at Chipotle once or twice a week. Why? Because they have my attention.
Shout out to Cole on that one.
My son, Jesus, that
kid.
The
$26 burrito.
Yeah, Cole had like a $26 burrito one. I don't know what it was in there, like maybe gold rings or something. Guy's like, oh, I lost my finger now. I had a ring. It's yours now. But the reason we eat at them is that, number one, I passed 3 Chipotles to get home. And so when I see Chipotle, they do a good job of marketing. They've built the brand, and which, by the way, I also have a better excuse also that when they had their first location on UC's campus, I don't know if I've told you this before, they were a lady named Kay Sterling was a local marketing agency, like a PR firm.
Okay.
And Chipotle was her client here. They had one location on UC's campus, University of Cincinnati, and she would trade us, WGRR, for advertising, and then she would always slide under the table a big stack of free taco cards to me. I had a period for me, like 6 months, where me and Jimmy LaBarbera and Doug Smith ate Chipotle like 4 days a week. And nobody knew what it was. Like, I had no clue. It was a taco. I thought it was an independent. It was like this mom and pop taco shop on UC's campus. Yeah. And then here we are, like, that's probably 20 years ago. It's worldwide phenomenon.
Right.
But I eat there more often because they have my attention. But then I have other connections. I've got Better Blend, which I eat at probably 6 to 7 times a week, lunch or dinner. And the connection there is a lot of different ones. I know the owner. I like the product. They have great customer service. It's easy to order on their website and go pick it up. And then also my son's friend. Like last night I pulled up. I'm on a conference call in my car, and I had placed my order, and his friend sees me out there, and I looked at the window, I see him, and then he brings it out to me because he's like, what are you doing? And he just walks out, gives my order, and he's like, here, Miss Platt. So there's all these reasons that you connect with restaurants. Sometimes it's the ones that we say you can outspend or you can outsmart.
Right.
Chipotle doesn't have a story I give a shit about. Bert and Ernie's do. I hate to say Bert and Ernie. Right. But Ernie's Cafe does.
Yeah.
And you pulled it out of there, and you could have just glossed over and not asked, why is there a Jerry Garcia? I keep wanting to say Cherry Garcia because I think that's an ice cream flavor.
From Ben & Jerry's. Yeah.
But you pulled that out of him, but he also knew the story because I'll never forget, I was at a restaurant recently, and I asked one of the employees, that was the initials. And I said, what's the initials? That's the owner's name. What's the owner's name? I don't know. I thought, okay. Did you start? I've been here 7 years.
Wow.
How the hell do you not know the owner's name? But a lot of that starts at the top. And so I like the fact that in your interview with him, that you got out of him a lot more about him, about his wife, about the team, about the customers, because he mentioned he had breakfast with a customer the prior day, than you did about the food, because the food is the byproduct. Like, I'm going to Walt Hitching Post tonight. Me, Christy, Cole, and Paige. And I love the rye bread. I'll get steak and ribs. I'm still struggling in my mind. Am I going to get a giant steak or ribs? I might get both so I can have the other one to eat the rest of the weekend, because the ribs heat up really good. I don't know if you knew that or not. And I'm not necessarily going there. The food is awesome, but the service is always top-notch. But I also have a connection because I grew up going there when Billy would walk around with his hand in his pocket. He always walked around with his hand in his pocket. I don't know why. I just remember as a kid, like, what's this dude doing? He's got his hand in his pocket. But I love the horse racing theme. I love the darkness and the coziness. Mm-hmm. The food, yes, is good. But there's so many other things to it. And I think that's what a lot of restaurants are missing. And the reason I want to talk to you about that was because watching that episode this morning in the hot tub in my thong, I'm just kidding, no thong, watching you, how you've grown as a host on America's Best Restaurants and how you pulled those stories out and created that storyline, that's going to help his business for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all starts with the owner, honestly, you know, because there's only so much that I can do. Look, I'm a guy that talks to people. That's what I do, right? But when I walk in, like I said earlier, I try to find a string. Where can I pull that string? How can I weave a story out of that string? But that can't happen without the counterpart, which is the guest, right? So if the guest has to have an interesting story, he has to be engaging. It just so happens that Tom, that's naturally how he is. Yeah. He's just a cool dude. He's got great stories. My favorite saying he run it through the garden. That means, you know, putting the vegetables. And I've just picked it up since then. Because
have you never heard that?
I've never heard of that before until him.
Oh, wow. I've heard that. Run it through the garden.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. And he was just an interesting guy to talk to. And, you know, it turns out he was a chef. We had so much conversation about his background. But then I also wanted to know, what is the deal? Why is there a Jerry Garcia? Because it doesn't really fit, quote unquote. Like, I'm going to a breakfast joint. Why does it have a Jerry Garcia? I have to understand why. And that's what it was. Because I'll notice the smallest, simplest details that most people will overlook. I remember going to a place in Chicago, and I walk into this place, and it's all cups themed. It's awesome restaurant, right?
Oh, this is one of Claudio's friends, right?
Yeah, one of Claudio's friends. I walk in, I'm looking around, and then I ask Claudio, I say, hey, so is this guy Greek? And he's like, how do you know that? I said, well, you know, there's the Greek Virgin Mary on the top of the column. He said, how did you see that? I'm like, I look for these things.
So we just like climbing a ladder,
right?
Looking over top.
So they're interesting things that to most people, maybe they'll notice them there, but they don't question why. But that's one thing that I always do. I always find something. Yep. Always find something. But like I said, you can't tell the story without the counterpart.
Yep.
So
a little quick side story here about finding stuff that I just when you said that, it made me think of this. One of my big brothers in college, Eric Pitts, was a Q dog.
Okay.
The Black fraternity on
Yep.
campus,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Purple and
Omega Sci-Fi. Yeah.
Yep. Purple and yellow.
Yep.
And I'm working the Louisville Boat and Fishing Show, and I'm up we have a 53-foot fishing trailer. It's a store, and we would take it. Talk about making an impact. Like most boat dealerships went to the show with a couple boats. We went with boats, and we went with a 53-foot bright yellow trailer with a matching truck. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in there working, and I see him walk up, and I noticed his pant leg was stuck, and I saw the socks. Well, the only person that wears those socks are somebody that's a Q dog. Mm-hmm. So he comes and he's looking around. I said, so what college? What college? I said, what college were you a Q dog at? How you know that? I go, he's got that swag, my man. He's like, huh. Yeah, and he started talking. Starts like 5 minutes ago. Hey, by the way, I saw your socks. And he's like, oh, you mother. But it's those things that help create conversations. You know, one of the reasons I wear a lot of food socks is conversation. I wore my Pop-Tart socks when I went to Dallas Wednesday, flew out there to speak, and I had them on, and I had 4 conversations that day about whether you toast your Pop-Tarts or not.
That's cool.
Which if you don't toast them, it's over. That's all we got.
Awesome, man.
Your second round of MPTV.
Love it. Second round. Love
Round 2. Episode 4,792,000. See you next time.
Bye. Later.